said it. Welcome along, everyone, to the Maverick Horse Racing Podcast. It's Christmas time, and we are building up to the festive season of brilliant racing with this podcast, which is going to take in loads of the top races. Obviously, we don't have decks for a lot of them, but we're going to do Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day, if you might want to call it that, for the Irish racing. And then we've got the 27th, and then on into, in particular, the pick of the Irish after that as well. Because fundamentally, the racing's better in Ireland this time of year anyway. But Kempton is pretty good on Boxing Day. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you're listening. The bonus code POD50 is still out there. So take advantage of that 50 quid in free bets. The T's and C's are on the website. It's going to be a bit different to the normal treble today as well, because we've got the best bet treble, because we've got, well, 5 of us tipping. So there we are. I'm going to sit out the main tipping, although I'm going to have a best bet for you and a long shot. It's the same horse as well in the Welsh National, but we'll get there. King George time. I'm joined by Matt Toombs, by Steve Jones, by Micheál, Deasy, by Charlie Post, and Donn McClean. And I'm going to come to Matt Toombs, first of all, with the King George, because there must be some solid trends out there or something that's particularly under bet that helps you find the winner of the King George. Welcome along, Matt. What is it?
Thanks, Dom. Merry Christmas, mate. Yeah, there's an absolutely rock solid trend, which I'm totally ignoring here. And the reason for the trend is King George, idiosyncratic test, tend to go fast, unrelenting gallop, usually on decent ground. Good is featured in the main official description, 17 of the 24 King Georges at Kempton this century. And plenty of top-class staying chases got knocked out of a rhythm and bomb out. So it's really hard for second season chasers. And the trend is they're 4 from 55, 71% loss. But the 4 that did win all ran in the Gold Cup, finishing 1-1, 2-2. Kicking King a long run, winning. Might Bite Mo will have won against Native River had it not been a swamp, and Brave Man's Game was beaten by the Great Gallop and Deschamps when he was in his prime. So that's how good you have to be to win the King George as a second season chaser. But I want to go with the anti-trend horse, and that's Django Bay, who I thought was brilliant in the 1965 chase when Nicky's horses were coming on for the run. Got a Racing Post rating of 171 for that, just £3 below Gaelic Warrior and Factor File and the John Durkin. And he may have had more in the locker if he needed it. Now, whilst winning easily doesn't mean you don't have a hard race, at least he didn't have the battle that pair had at the end. And he looks like he's really going to improve for the step up to 3 miles. So I think he's a bit more battle hardened than the Jukebox Man, got more inherent improvement as a second season chaser than Gaelic Warrior and Factor File. I think he's a cracking bet. And given the outstanding record of the few second season King George winners in the Gold Cup, if like me, you fancy Django Bay, then you want to be backing him at 21.0 for the Gold Cup before he runs at Kempton.
So it's 4.33 for Kempton and 21.0 for the Gold Cup. You're keen on both. Good man. All right. That's the only Django Bay shout in there. There's a couple of Gaelic Warriors, Steve and Charlie. Steve, off you go first of all, 3.75.
Yeah, it's just one of those where I think Willie Mullins will win it. And the thing with Gaelic Warrior is he, in the John Durkin, he just blasted out from the front and just kept going. And I haven't seen a horse win a Grade 1 race going flat out from the start and flat out at the finish since Allaho won the Ryanair a few years ago. And that's exactly what Gaelic Warrior did. I think I'm right in saying that he's unbeaten over fences beyond 2 miles 2. He was an ARCA winner. I don't think if he goes on to win the Gold Cup, I don't think a horse has done that since Lescargo. But he's just a freakishly good horse who seems ideally suited to Kempton. So even though, like Matt said, it's always run at a fast pace, and the likes of Ile Francais and others will probably be putting pressure on, I think it's going to be one of those where whoever wins the battle for the early lead is going to still be there at the end, and that's Gaelic Warrior for me.
Charlie, what do you want to add?
Yeah, not a huge amount, Tom. I mean, I think the one thing about this race is you do have to be able to stay well and to win it, and you need early tempo to lay up. I mean, I just slight concerns whether Factor File will see it out. And Django Bay, I mean, I respect him, but I felt he still had to step up quite a bit to match the level of Gaelic Warrior. He's a very, very good horse. He's won his last 3, you know, as in, I just think he's got a huge chance in this. I think everything is laid out ideally for him. That flat track, 3 miles, a test of speed early, and then, you know, when he'll lay up with them comfortably, and he's just got bundles of class.
Don, you're staying faithful to your boy, and I respect you for that. I love as if the current champion is 15.0.
I just think he's underrated, Tom. Yeah. Look, he had to run at least as well as he did in the Hillyweight Chase last time. Banbridge did. He wouldn't have wanted to have performed much at a lower level than he did in the Hillyweight, but I think he ran just about well enough. Like, of course, as you say, he won last year's race. I don't think he got the credit that he deserved for winning last year's race. Like, the sections were very, very impressive. He had to come from back in the field. His final, he was fastest through each of the last 4 furlongs than all his rivals, and the second fastest was Ile Francais. So it wasn't like the leader capitulated and fell in the hole and he just picked him up. He had to go and catch him, and he did. Now, his 2 runs last year, he was well beaten in the Gold Cup, well beaten in Punchestown as well. And the difference between last year and this year is he had a run on the Fortria Chase last year before he went to the Hilly Way. His Hillyweight he didn't run that well in the Fortria. His Hillyweight Chase run was really good last year. He unseated at the last when he upside an Ergomin, and he was given an Ergomin £10. This year he missed the Fortria. He had a seasonal debut in the Hilly Way, and look, we know the ground was too soft for him that day. The distance of 2 miles is way too sharp for him, and he was right there with them until the second last. He weakened from there, which you can allow. I think going back to Kempton, as the lads were saying, it's a race in which if you've run well before in the King George, it's a big asset to bring back to a King George. There have been 5 repeat winners, I think, since the turn of the millennium. And Banbridge, he's 9 years old now, rising 10, so he's getting on. But I think that he's just underrated by the market. The fact that Joseph O'Brien has booked Sean Bowen, big positive there as well. And looks like the ground's going to come in his favour. So I don't think he should be a 15.0 shot.
Peter says, are we expecting good to soft at Kempton on the 26th? He's also moaning that nobody's wearing a Christmas hat, and that I agree. That's disappointing. But we're a serious podcast. Does anybody have anything on ground? Any sort of strong opinion on it or not? No, there's a few shakes of the head. Steve?
Well, it'd just be nice ground, won't it? It won't be soft remotely. It'll just be fair ground.
I don't think there's a lot of rain forecast between now and Boxing Day, is there? I think it's kind of we've had our bit, so yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't dry out particularly at this time of year, does it? So it's not going to go to anything that you worry about horses that needed really soft ground, really. But it's just going to be fair, I think.
Dees, just you left.
Just me. I'm going for the Jukebox Man. He won the Cola Star fairly well on this card last year. He's probably lacking the battle hardened experience of the rest of them, but I don't mind really that he missed the end of the season last year. He's had a nice little pipe opener at Haydock. Should put him spot on. Look, he jumps, he stays, he's got course distance for him. He's probably a fair price at 7.5, but I think the front 2 had a fairly hard race in the John Durkin. And I think that, again, look, the King George is just the kind of race that should suit the Jukebox Man. And I'm willing to have a bet in them at around 7.5, 8.0.
All right, that's the King George done and dusted. Django Bay for Matt, including a Gold Cup bet. A couple for Gaelic Warrior, Jukebox Man and Banbridge. We come to the Christmas hurdle. I'm looking forward to this, Steve, because you are remaining in this mare's camp and you backed her for the champion hurdle. And you were rewarded. So Golden Ace is 6.0.
Yeah, obviously she's been fortunate to win the champion hurdle, albeit she would have been a very decent second if State Man had stood up. Some people think that she might even have pushed State Man hard, and I don't think she'd been beaten far. And she's come out and won the fighting fifth, and yet you can still back her at 6 for the Christmas hurdle, which is ideally suited for her. I saw her win twice around Taunton as a novice. Her jumping, ironically, the reason she's won these races is because Constitution Hill is fallen, State Man's fallen. Her jumping is electric, and she is, I think, ideally suited to Kempton. This is where she is. She's beaten Ireland's Great New Thing in last time in Amsterdam. who was the young Irish horse coming through for Willie Mullins. She's beaten him. She's beaten Brighter Days Ahead, who everyone said that she couldn't beat again after she beat her in the Mayor's Hurdle the previous year. She is top class. And the reason she keeps being underrated is because people think she's lucky. Well, that's not her fault that she jumps so well and the others don't. She's top class, I promise you. She's got so much speed, this horse. And she sees the distance out well. And Sir Gino, who everyone wants to back it odds on, nearly died and is coming back. You don't know whether Sir Gino is going to be as good as he was. And even if he is, does his form stack up to be top class? Not really.
Matt agrees with Golden Ace as a bet if you want one, but he's officially no bet. Charlie has put Sir Gino, who I do think is top class, but obviously there's a slight unknown, Charlie, that he's coming back from a life scare, as Steve says. But 1.75, is that a bet for you?
It probably just about is. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Steve about Golden Ace, and she probably has been unfortunate to be crabbed all the time, but I think this horse is a lot better than her. I mean, I think he is an absolute machine. I mean, yes, we all know about his well-catalogued, like, life-threatening illness that he had after that incredibly impressive chase debut at Kempton last year. But he's with the right person to be bringing him back. And I can't believe that they'd be even contemplating pitching him in at this if they didn't think he was anything bar 110% ready. I spoke to someone connected with the yard. His schooling has been good. You know, the sky's the limit for the horse, and I think he will prove to be way, way better than all of these on Boxing Day.
All right, that's a little look at the Christmas hurdle, but not many bets going up there. Everyone's got a view in the Quarter Star, and most of it is with Jimmy de Searle. Donn McClean, you can kick us off at 3.0.
Yeah, look, he's always been a good horse, Tom. His Coral Cup win was so impressive. He won that off hurdles mark in the 140s. He's now rated 155 over hurdles. He was very good on his chasing bow at Fairyhouse the last day when he was a little bit weak in the market, and he faced a really good rival in the Big Western. She was a top-class staying novice hurdler last season for Henry de Brum, had won the Doran's Pride hurdle at Limerick at this time of year, the Grade 2 race, and then finished second in the Albert Bartlett when she didn't have a whole lot of luck in running, or at the second last flight she was hampered. And he gave her the £7 mare's allowance, and he beat her well. The two of them pulled well clear of their rivals. Jacob's Ladder finished third, went and was impressed with winning his beginner's chase at Fairyhouse there last Saturday. So I just think Jimmy de Searle, he's an up-and-coming horse. He's only a 6-year-old. He's only had 6 runs over hurdles and that 1 run over fences, so lots of potential for him to improve again. He is entered in the Faheen chase as well, so it'll be interesting to see where Willie Mullins goes with him. But if he does go here, then yeah, I think he's the one they all have to beat.
Who haven't we heard from a bit on this? Deasy, you can flesh that if you want to for Jimmy de Searle. Basically, you got Matt, Steve, Don, and Deasy have all put Jimmy de Searle. Deasy.
I don't have much to add. What Don said that have been pretty much my summation of him. I just thought his jumping was really good the last day. He was so good at his fences, and I think that's what Louis on the race here. I think he's a really good jumper, and again, look, to win a Coral Cup like that, you have to give big credit to the horse for that. So yeah, he's very solid.
Matt, you've put winners of the Berkshire Novice Chase of 5 from 9, 11 point profit, 124%. I mean, is that slightly skewed given that not many Irish tend to contest this?
Definitely. It's also slightly skewed. I'm a big fan of Wendigo, but I just wonder whether this is the test for him. I fancy him for the Broadway. He's a thorough stayer. This is a real test of speed at the trip, and you've got to jump well. And as the lads have said, Jimmy de Searle just looks perfectly made for this. And if he does come over, I could see him being odds on the day.
All right, Charlie, you do fancy Wendigo, 4.33.
Yeah, I mean, I have respect for the ones above him in the market, but I think he's also, you know, he was unfortunate to finish a bit closer to Jasmine DeVoe and the Albert Bartlett. You know, he started well over fences. His win the last time, granted, no questions asked, didn't really do much for the form at Ascot, but he won well. And I think the stepping up again in trip has to be hugely in his favour. I agree with Toomsy that, yeah, I mean, he probably wants an even greater test of stamina, but I still go back to the fact that I think you still have to stay well to win these races around Kempton, especially if they get rolling early. And Jamie Snowden's had a brilliant year, and I think this is the sort of horse that could cap it off. I think he looks a very, very good young novice chaser.
Elsewhere in the UK, there's obviously loads of good racing between Aintree, Wetherby, and lots of other tracks. Steve, you can take us through your three. Incidentally, head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all of these bets, and they'll also have Matt's trends on there as well, just in case we don't mention any or put them on the ticker. So head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all of those. Pens at the ready for these, because they're a little bit more off the beaten track for the selections on Boxing Day. So Steve, your three, take it away.
First race at Kempton, novice handicap chase. As legends have it, for Ben Pauling, had some very good novice hurdle form last season. Didn't win particularly, but was always going to be a better chaser, bred to be a better chaser, and had one run over fences, which I thought was pretty promising. And Ben Pauling won this very race last year with a similar type, well handicapped, and 26 at the moment. If he runs, I think that's a massive price, as legends have it. Roland Merrick up at Wetherby, fortunate man, won on this day last year at Aintree, is also in that race, so watch out for that. But John Joe O'Neill, first time up. John Joe O'Neill shut his stable. They're running much better now, and I think fortunate man still well handicapped, progressive young chaser with good form. And the third one is Idaho Sun, also at Aintree, in the Form B for Harry Fry, whose only defeat came in the Champion Bumper. And hurdles win, beat a horse who's been running well. So I think that was overpriced. I wanted to take Skelton's horse, My Daddy, whatever, way underpriced for the Supreme. And the knock-on effect is that this horse is way too short for the Form B. There's proper competition in there, and Idaho Sun is certainly one of them at about 9.
Deasy, you got a couple, including the Roland Merrick.
Yeah, some scope in the Roland Merrick. He won the race last year. He was backed into 5-2, 3.5, won it under Charlie Maggs. This year, he's rocking up. He's going to be bottom weight again. Charlie Maggs on him again. He's 11.0. Now, looking at his form since that, there's nothing really to shout about. I'd say he gave him a spring. They'll probably walk back from this. He's had his 2 runs to get him ready for it. I think he's massively overpriced there at 11.0 to follow it up. And again, he's only 7. There's a few in this that are fairly well exposed, and like even the favourite Confusion is up £19 already this season. So you have to wonder how much else he has up his sleeve. And the other one is Heads or Harps for Lucinda Russell and Michael Scudamore at Wetherby in the 245. Kind of had this horse on my radar in my tracker now for a while. He finished I'm just trying to get the form up here now. He finished second, beaten 3 legs to Confusion, who's favourite for the Roland Merrick now today, at Wetherby in February. But he absolutely clouted the last. I think he would have won only for that. Followed that up again in a class 4 up in air. But since the start of the season, he's had 2 runs. And last time he ran into a Gordon Elliott horse at Ayr, who seemed to be very well handicapped. He was well beaten. That was the day I think Sean Bowman up there and at 4 winners. So just ran into one that day. He's rocking up here now off 112. Just through his collateral form, I'd say he probably has a fair bit in hand on his mark. I don't know what price he'll be, but I'd say he'd run very well. Whatever price he is, I'll definitely back him. He's in the 245 in Wetherby.
A couple for Charlie, including one that is a bit left field at Market Raisin.
Yeah, Kaiko Rock in the 115 at Market Raisin on Boxing Day. I mean, he been disappointing, but he started off life in handicap chase off 100 at Warwick the last day, and once Harry gave him a very patient ride on a day where it probably suited horses that were more ridden in and around the speed. Once he got there, he won very well. He's only put up 6. I'm sure he can rate a lot higher than this mark. Looks an obvious one to certainly win a couple more on as he climbs up to probably a mark that's more reflective of his actual ability. And then another one from the Skeltons in the 250 at Aintree, a horse called Chuggy, proved a revelation going chasing. He won at Warwick on his last start. He looks electric to jump. And Aintree should suit him really well. Proper jumping test. Weights are going to go up a good bit there. Sam Thomas's horse that won the Grade 2 novice chase at Ascot at the weekend tops the weights. And I thought the top 2 in the market in the weights wouldn't run. So he'll still be in there off a nice weight. I think he's in off 10.6 at the moment. And again, he went up 11 for his last start. But the way this horse jumps, he could still go higher than this. And Aintree, I think, will suit him really well.
All right, so that's UK bets. Over in Ireland elsewhere, Matt, you've got one in the Doran's Pride and also a trend for that contest.
Yeah, horses that had run in a graded hurdle, but only at short and intermediate trips, 8 from 31, 21% profit. Often trainers know early in the season they've got a graded level novice hurdler, but sometimes not at what trip. Typically, they start them at short or intermediate trips, step them up to stay in trips as needed later on. And this is the sort of race where classy stayers beaten in graded races over shorter excel when stepped up in distance. 7 of those 8 were beaten on their previous start in a graded race ever much shorter. And I'm interested in the big clubman, who was one of Don's eye catchers in the first episode, the Cheltenham Trail, after he was a fast finishing second in the Monksfield over 2.5 on heavy ground at Navan. And Monksfield's produced Vic Venturi, Fury Road and Farouk Delane to win the Doran's Pride. The big clubman looked the type to improve a fair bit for this extra test of stamina. And he's also proved he can handle heavy ground, and that's important. A lot of horses don't handle the deep ground at Limerick at Christmas. He is also in the Grade 1 Slaney at Naas early next month over 2.5, but this test looks much more his bag. I'd expect him to turn up here. We haven't got any prices yet, but Willie's Navan novice hurdle winner, Dr. Steinberg, and also Bon Viveur, Enter Gordon's got 7 in it. So it ought to be a good race again, and unless it cuts up, the big clubman ought to be a backable price.
Don, where are you looking elsewhere in Ireland on St Stephen's Day?
Yeah, the Grade 2 juveniles hurdle at Leopardstown, Tom, it could be a hell of a race. You got Monge 2 and Narciso Ha taking each other on again if they do line up, and you've got Barbazon in there as well for Gordon Elliott. He was a good horse on the flat for John Murphy. He got a flat rating in the hundreds, the low hundreds, and he was very good on his herding bow at Navan when he won well from Ben Hur. Gordon had 2 in the race. Wackestone, he was just slightly favoured in front of Wackestone in the market, but he won well from Ben Hur, and Ben Hur came out and won well at Fairyhouse there at the weekend. So he's got good form, but I think Narciso Ha and Monge 2, they could emerge to be 2 of the best juvenile, no more than Barbazon. I mean, this race, it's a really good pointer to the spring juvenile hurdle, and then by extension on to the Triumph hurdle. But we don't have betting on this yet. There seemed to be a feeling around the last day at Fairyhouse after the Grade 3 race that Narciso Ha could reverse placement with Monge 2 next time, and that may be the case. But I just like this filly. I thought she did well to win at Down Royal on her first run for Gordon Elliott when she was just way too keen. She was in front. Wizard of Odds challenge at the second last, and he made a bad mistake at the second last, and he might have beaten her had he jumped that flight better. But she won. She showed a lot of grit to win that day, and then last time with the hood back on, she settled way better in behind horses. She showed a really good turn of foot. She got the better than Narciso Ha. And that was his first run for Willie Mullins and his first run since April, so you can expect that he'll come forward from that. But I think Monge 2 could come forward again. I think that they could put Narciso Ha in as favourite in front of her. She's slightly better off at the weights as well, having beaten him. So, yeah, I just think she's a filly to follow, and I think she could add a Grade 2 race to her CV now at on 26th.
That's the Grade 2 juvenile Monge 2. Dees, you're going to be busy. So you got another few in Ireland. Take it away.
I do. It's a big day, yeah. First one is Salvador Mundi in the novice chase. I'm going to take on Romeo Coolio with him. This horse is obviously insane. It depends on the horse that turns up on the day. Like, he was beaten long odds on the last day, but at the end of last season at Aintree, he beat Romeo Coolio by 7 lengths, and it could have been 17 lengths. He was so good that day. So if that Romeo Coolio turns up, I could see him if that Salvador Mundi turns up, I could see him beating Romeo Coolio again very easily, for as good as Romeo Coolio is. But just think the price of 4.0 is, or 5.0 is tasty enough, and I'd have a small bet on him and hope that he's spot on for Christmas, which is something Willie Mullins is well able to do. And the other one then is a bit left field. It's a horse called Release the Beast for Paul Nolan. Now, he won at Limerick on Stephen's Day last year, landed a bit of a gamble, won by 6 lengths going away from them. Really impressive. Didn't do much in the spring. He'd run a Punchestown in February and then at Fairyhouse, but nothing really happened. But he came back there in the middle of October and was beaten by just linked by a horse called Novatic, who's a bit of a Wexford specialist for Henry de Bromhead. But he should have won the race, but he was just racing next to a loose horse. He just kind of seemed to idle in front and was just picked up close to the line. He hasn't gone up in the weights for that. No, he's running off 122. He's running off 128. They really like him. Paul Nolan has given him mention before. He's a decent horse. He's entered here in the 255, which would be a hot enough race, but he's also entered on the 29th in a listed race in Limerick, or the 28th. So either one of them, I'll be keeping a close eye on him. He's would be a good kind of 2-mile specialist for Paul Nolan. Release the Beast.
All right, Salvatore Budde against Romeo Coolio, Release the Beast in the following race at Leopardstown. We move on to the 27th then. The obvious place to start is the Welsh National. And Matt's informing us that all of our selections are in, so that is good news. So we're developing a team steam here. I mean, I'm not tipping, but my best bet is Collector's Item, who I've had in mind for this a long way out. And he's 15.0, so well found in the market. And that must be music to your ears, Steve, that I agree.
Oh, absolutely. All the great judges in my life are on. Collector's Item. I like you, I've always thought it had huge amounts of stamina. I've tracked this horse from an early stage since he won early in his career. I think he won no, he didn't. He was second in a bumper, that good bumper at Newbury, and through his career, he's always looked packed with stamina. And he ran a brilliant race last time, brilliant trial for this in the Grand Welsh National Trial, went second to Jubilee Express. That's only 3 miles. So going up in distance, and the fact that John Joe O'Neill and AJ O'Neill, their team, they shut down because they were having problems. I think he was one of their first runners when they reopened, and their horses are clearly thriving. He's going to improve for that. The jockey threw his whip array 2 out to make sure that he didn't get. Well, I'm sure he didn't, but that didn't help losing his whip 2 out. So I think all there for a big run, and you want lightly weight. It might not be a real slog like it sometimes is, because the ground's not going to be as desperate as sometimes can be at Chepstow over Christmas, but definitely the lighter the weight, the better. So Collector's Item's got a great chance, as you well know, Tom.
Well, interesting to say the lighter the weight, the better, Matt.
Yeah, and normally I take the view in handicaps, it's a mark that matters, not the weight. You know, if a horse is fairly handicapped of 130, then it should run to 130 under those conditions, top weight or bottom weight. This is one of the exceptions because it can become such a slog. As Steve said, the ground might not be as desperate as it sometimes is, but even so, 15 of the 25 renewals this century have been won by horses who've effectively been within £6 of what I've called bottom weight. That's including taking the jockey's claims off. So I do think those sort of horses are favoured. And last year, where it all began, ridden stone cold last by Sean Bowen, but made eye-catching headway, looking like he might be coming to win the race, then sprawled on landing on the second in the straight, ending his chance. He's off a £5 lower mark on 129 this year, with his form figures being POFPP. He's dead in on 10-2, so as things stand, he's got the perfect weight, but he's 34.0. Maybe he's just lost his form, but those sorts of prices, I'm prepared to take a punt, because I think Gordon's been planning a route back here ever since what happened last year. So now he's been confirmed today. He's one definitely to back now if you fancy him, because if Gordon is planning a coup, he'll shorten a lot by the off.
Let's go back to Collector's Item as well. Just wanted to get that trended about the lower weights for the race that you can have a recap on insights.matchbook.com. Don, you also fancy Collector's Item. My only concern about him, and I do really like him for this race, is I've often come away having backed him thinking he's a bit of a so-and-so. I don't want to come away again thinking, why did I get tempted in? But it's sort of a bit of this is perfect, I think. And if it doesn't happen now, I might lose faith in him.
Yeah, no, like a lot of what Steve said is I agree with all of that. The other thing was it was his first run of the season the last day, whereas Jubilee Express had a run. And interestingly, he finished second behind Mr. Van Gogh in the London National last year. He's way better off at Mr. Van Gogh compared to that run. And it's interesting that the O'Neills ran him in the Welsh National Trial on the same weekend as the London National this year. Obviously, this has been the plan for a little while. And he's the handicap risen by £3 for that run, but it's an early closing race, so he doesn't have to carry. He gets in off his old rating of 135. Jubilee Express, he's well in as well, but he does have to carry a £4 penalty. He's £2 well in. I think the handicap raised him by £6. So collector's item meets him on that £4 better terms, plus he's £3 well in. And yeah, as you said, Tom, the step up and trip should suit him. He stays really well. The yar's in good form, as Steve says, after taking a little bit of a break. And yeah, I just think I agree with, like, he's only won 2 of his 12 chases. He probably doesn't win as often as he should. But you can see him running really well. Like, he won the Somerset National in Canton last year. He beat Catatadori in that, and that was before Catatadori went and won the Ladbrokes Trophy at Kempton and went up £15 after that. So he just could be a well-handicapped horse, even more so than the £3 by which he is well in. And yeah, I can see him running a big race.
Did you want to add something, Steve?
Just that there's been to underline the weight issue. There's been 5 winners of the Welsh National carry more than 11 stone 3 in the last 35 years. 3 of them have been Gold Cup winners: Native River, Synchronized, and Master Oats. And another one was Carville's Hill, was way good enough to win a Gold Cup. So you have to be top class. Elegant Escape was the other, who I backed blindly in the Gold Cup. That didn't go to plan. But it shows you need real class to carry weight in the Welsh Grand National.
DC, you got a couple?
Yeah, look at collector's item. He's been well covered. The other one is Dom of Mary. He won there at Newcastle a few weeks ago, and the horse he beat was a Venetia horse who went out and won the following time. I just think, look, this conditions will be perfect for him. He needs a marathon trip. He's at the moving stables, and James Owen seems to be after getting a bit of extra, bit of improvement out of him. Got him on the upgrade again, and look, he's going to be sitting there at the bottom of the weights. And look, he can be snuck into the race. He's 17.0. I just wanted to have him on side as well. A collector's item as well would fancy him too. Yeah.
Charlie Post.
Yeah, I've gone with the horse that won the London National at Sandown on the same day as the trial at Chepstow. O'Connell started off the year with a really good run at Carlisle, and then, you know, I thought he was very impressive round Sandown. Travelled, jumped, and won with plenty of authority. He's a 9-year-old. He's off 10 stone 5 at the moment, so he's ideally weighted. Yards in flying form, Sue Smith and Joel Parkinson, and I just think everything ticks towards a huge run for this horse. He'll relish a 3 mile 6 trip. I mean, I don't know. There's times I worry that maybe you want to be a bit closer to the speed in this race because you need a bit of boot early, but plenty have won it from off the pace, how he's ridden. And so I don't see that as a negative. That, you know, the long straight gives him plenty of time to work his way into it. And for all that he's a 9-year-old, he still looks like a staying chaser that's very much firmly on the upgrade, Tom.
Steve, if you need to disappear, by all means do. I know you had a curfew here, so there's no other official selections going up from you. I don't believe I can recap your long shot and your best bet. So by all means do that whenever you need to.
Yeah, I should wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Golden Ace Christmas, and what was my long shot?
You were doing so well, but no, I'd wish you'd just gone quietly now.
Yeah,
you were doing great.
As legends have it, Novice Chase Kempton first start. Bye, everybody.
Hi, Steve. Well done. If we can just edit that in the pod after he says Golden Ace Christmas, that would be great. That would be much better. I'll recap his bets later on. We're moving to Ireland on the 27th. There's no other UK bets on the 27th, but Ireland. Matt Toombs, first of all, you got a couple.
Yeah, the first one's in the Future Champions Novice Hurdle. And this is about the Royal Bond form, which you can see at the bottom. And horses who finished 2nd or 3rd at Ferryhouse got an even better record, 9 from 22, 37 point, 170% profit. And the 3rd home, the Passing Wife, is entered here. I think he's got a decent chance of turning the Royal Bond form round with Cocktail Brute. He'd been off for 461 days when making his hurdling debut at Goran at the start of November. Ran well there in a hot contest behind the Devil You Know, Skylight Hustle, who's in here and in the 4B. And in the Royal Bond, the Passing Wife looked to be ridden to run well, got outpaced, finished like a train to be beaten only a length and a half. So with that run under his belt, the Cromwell horse is now in better form, switching to this stiffer test at Leopardstown. I think he's got every chance of turning the form round if he lines up. Willie Mullins will provide strong opposition, but these days he seems to be keeping a lot of his best novices starting maidens at this time of year. He may not have an A-teamer in this. So if the Passing Wife runs here at anything like 17.0, be a play in the win and place markets. And the other one is in the 2 Mile Open Chase, the Paddy Rewards Club. Since this became a Grade 1 in 2004, seasonal debutants 1 from 12. Includes 4 clear favourites, a joint favourite, and a host of top horses amongst those losers. Shackham Baswar twice, Undersow, Nickname, Fotter Island, Gaelic Warrior, Sizing John. The only one who managed to win on seasonal debut was the champion chaser Big Zeb. So I think that's a big negative for Solness, who was given a long break after a very busy season. And I'll be a bit concerned about Marine National, although he was prepped for the Fortria 6 weeks earlier. And I think Dino Blue's a solider option because it doesn't look like Masboro's going to run. She won this 2 years ago. She's got a run under her belt. And usually she made a couple of mistakes in the Fortria, which may well have cost her the race. She was conceding race fitness there to £1.50. That form's been franked in the Hilly Way. And you can get 3 places, and she's been in the first 3 in 16 of her 17 chases. So that's the way I play this. Back her in both the win and the place markets to get at least your stake back if she's second or third. And if Marine National isn't primed for this, then I think she could well win.
The passing wife of the future champions, Dino Blue, in the Paddy's Reward Club Chase. Don, you've got one in the staying handicap chase.
Yeah, I like we've all been caught in the Paddy Power Chase, Tom. I think he's just got a lovely profile for the race. He's trained by Eric McNamara, who won this race with Real Steel in 2022, and he's owned by the same person, Tig Moynihan. And you can see this has probably been his plan since he got him. He was good horse there last season and the season before for Christian Williams and Nigel Twiston-Davis. And on his first run for Eric McNamara, he finished 4th at the Stole. Then last time he went to Limerick for the Munster National, and he stayed on while to finish second behind his stable companion, actually French Dynamite. It was a 1-2 in the race for Eric McNamara. He got £5 for that, which is probably not ideal, but I think that he's probably going to improve from that again. He's a horse who I think going left-handed is probably a positive for him as well. And he stays well. The drying ground here that the spread today, they're watering the chase track at Leopardstown, which is in the middle of December. It's kind of really strange, but that's the nature of Leopardstown. It's such a quick training track that'll suit him, and I think he can go well. He's been pretty well found in the market. He's towards the high end of the market, but I think he can go well. And if D Capo takes his chance in the race as well, Gordon Elliott's horse, I think he's a horse from whom there could be a good bit more to come. He got £8 for winning at Punchestown the last day, but he won well, and it was his first run of the season. It was a slow pace, and he did well to come from back in the field to win. But he's in the Tim Duggan Chase, and he's in the 2.5 mile handicap chase at Cheltenham as well on New Year's Day. So not sure where D Capo's going to go, but I'm sure we've all been caught. This has been the plan for a little while, and yeah, I can see him running well.
All right, that's in the staying handicap chase. And then you've got another, 2, Dees? Yes, 2 at Leopardstown.
Yeah, 2. So I'm on Talk in the Future Champions. He's available at 15.0. I just think he's far too big a price for that. He won at the Fairy House Winter Festival there, won very well actually, and on the same card as Skylight Hustle. No, Talk ran a faster time that day. Visually he was very impressive. He won a maiden at Limerick before that. I just think he should be probably maybe 4th in here. He should be at least half the price. As you said, look, the Mullins horses are kind of making the market. Devon Alfont is taking up, it seems to be shortening, and the rest of them are drifting. But just at 14.0, I thought this one was overpriced, and he's definitely a win place bet. And like Matt said, there's probably a chance that something at a big price can run well in this. So I'll be going with Talk. And in the 3 o'clock to Paddy Power Chase, I'm going for Back Me or Sack Me for Emmett Mullins. He warmed up for this, finishing second to 3 Card Bragg at Cheltenham in the October meeting, and he was in receipt of a bit of a Shambo special. He was fairly well back for it, but he just seemed to lose his way halfway through the race and absolutely flew home. Now, it is a well-known thing that the Irish trainers use Leopardstown as a kind of a trials track for Cheltenham. I think maybe this could be the opposite way around. That he'll have had a nice run around Cheltenham. It's a similar enough track to Leopardstown. Could put him spot on for this. And again, he's a big enough price at 17.0 if he gets in. Now, he's number 33, so he's not guaranteed a run, but if he gets in, he'll be rock bottom weight. And you could see him shorting up if his very shrewd connections get stuck in.
A reminder that all these selections will be up on the Insights page, insights.matchbook.com. 28th, 29th onwards, just a couple of horses going up. Don, I'll come to you first of all in the Christmas hurdle.
Yeah, I think the yellow clay could outrun his odds in the Christmas hurdle, Tom. Look, it's if they line up again, Teahupoo and Ballyburn, that'll be brilliant. Teahupoo obviously got the better of Ballyburn in the Hatton's Grace hurdle last time. The general feeling was that Ballyburn would reverse placement with them the next time they met, to the point where Ballyburn was put in as favourite for the Stairs hurdle. But the step up and trip from 2.5 to 3 miles, that should suit Teahupoo. You just wouldn't want the ground to be any quicker than it is at the minute for Teahupoo. So it's going to be great to see those two locking horns again. But it looks like Gordon Elliott is going to run the yellow clay as well. And I just think, people, after he got beaten in the Lismullen hurdle last time at Navan, people kind of put a line through him. But it just wasn't his running. He didn't travel in the race for whatever reason. And even at that, he showed a lot of grit to stay on to take second place behind Colonel Mustard. He was such a good novice last season. He finished second behind the New Lion in front of Final Demand in the Turner's Novices Hurdle. And he shaped, like he won over 2 miles and 6 earlier in the season. He shapes as if he's going to be better over further. The step up and trip to 3 miles should suit him, or 2 miles, 7.5 furlongs. And yeah, I just think he could be a little bit overpriced in a race in which obviously Ballyburn and Teahupoo are going to take an awful lot out of the market.
And then in the Savills, I mean, I knew that Deasy was going to be putting this up. Matt, you can kick us off with any trend as well at 26.0, Lecky Watson.
Yeah, and also keen on the yellow clay for all the reasons Don says that the better ground will suit him. Just hoping to get a good vibe from Gordon that he has got over that Lismullen race. In the Savills chase, the trend is that the last 8 winners of this who ran in the John Durkan beaten at Punchestown, does need the caveat until 2 seasons ago the John Durkan was a fortnight later. Earlier in the century, it was the norm to run in both when the Staying Chasers ran more. But I think these days, the new mid-November John Durkan is going to be a blow the cobwebs away race for a lot of the runners. In that sense, a bit more like racing 30 years ago when most horses took at least one run to get anywhere near real race fitness. So the 2 mile, 150 yards trip of the John Durkan, perfect for that, for Staying Chasers. And I think that's what happened this year. The 2 speed horses fought out the finish. The stayers were never sighted. I don't buy the argument they couldn't go the 30 mile an hour gallop Gaelic Warrior was setting. No, I don't think they were asked to. So I'm keen to look through the John Durkan form. I want to take the 2 Gold Cup winners on. Gallop and Deschamps had an interrupted prep, but has needed his first start the last couple of seasons. So even at his beloved Leopardstown, he's opposable. And I know the way you're thinking, he's posted one performance better than low 160s. So I think the Gold Cup fell apart last year, and the vibes are he's being trained for the spring. So it looks the sort of race where you ought to be able to back something at a big price. So on win and place, Lecky Watson, he bolted up in the Broadway. He looked closer to the Finnish article last year as a novice chase. He'd been a bit leery as a bumper and novice hurdler. The vibes from Willie are that he'll improve again this season. He stays well, he has some pace, and you couldn't argue it was a vintage Broadway, but everyone seems to be thinking the form's worthless from a Gold Cup point of view. And I think Lecky Watson was miles the best horse in that and could keep surprising people. So 26.0, win and place bet for me.
And Deasy, isn't this your Gold Cup?
No, Stellar Story is my Gold Cup.
Stellar Story.
Might back this fella as well. Look, if you just look through who's ahead of him in the market, like Grange Clare West can't win this. Jory Clom is back from over a year off. Champ Kiley, I don't know why Champ Kiley is shorter than Lecky Watson. If it's based on the run at Punchestown at the end of last season, like you'll let us forgive a horse, a bad run at Punchestown, especially after winning at Cheltenham. Fast or slow mightn't even turn up in this, and like you have to take top to one because look, Matt covered it. I just think he's way too big a price, and he's a very good horse. He was chasing has made him. He was always again. Look, he ran 2 crackers at Cheltenham in the bumper and in the Albert Bartlett before that. Just too big a price in a race that I think a few of them just aren't going to be good enough. He could easily hit the places, and I could see him going off shorter than 26.0.
All right, long shot time then, match bet 0. Long shot, reminder, this goes live an hour before each race. Best odds are most likely because there's no margin, there's no commission. Win bets only. Mine is collector's item in the Welsh National at 15.0. Matt Toombs. Also
in the Welsh National, where it all began, 34.0.
As legends have it, is Steve's selection in the 12:45 at Kempton at 26.0. Don.
Also in the Welsh National and also collector's item for all the reasons I outlined earlier. Yeah.
Go on, collectors. Deasy.
Mine is Back Me or Sack Me in the 3 o'clock Leopardstown on the 27th.
And Charlie.
Yeah, I'm back to the Welsh national, but O'Connell for me.
God, one of us wins the Welsh national. Best bets. Mine is collector's item in the Welsh national at 15.0. I'll never learn. Matt.
Django Bay at 4.33 in the King George, and don't forget to take the 21.0 of the Gold Cup before he runs at Kempton.
Steve's is Golden Ace 6.0 in the Christmas Hurdle. Don.
The Yellow Clay in the other Christmas Hurdle. I think he's overpriced.
I don't know which the Christmas Hurdle is. Deasy.
Jimmy Desai in the Dakota Star Novices Chase at Kempton.
And Charlie.
Chuggy in the 250 at Aintree.
Guys, thanks to everyone that's been a part of all the Matchbook Racing podcasts this year. It's been hugely appreciated, particularly as far as the jump season goes. There's loads of interaction there because there's hardcore jumps racing fans, which is what jump racing gives you. So that's much appreciated. As ever, head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all the best bets. We wish you all a Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.